This is Pripyat, located in northern Ukraine, near the Belarusian border. Founded in 1970, this city was built as one of the Soviet Union's most prestigious projects. Pripyat was designed as a modern living space for the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and their families. Wide streets, modern apartments, cinemas, parks, and a massive amusement park. But this beautiful city would change forever on April 26, 1986. The footsteps of disaster began on the evening of April 25, 1986, with a planned safety test at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The goal was to measure how the reactor would respond in the event of a power outage. However, there were critical miscalculations in the process. During the test, safety systems were disabled, and the reactor's power became unstable. As the hours passed, catastrophe became inevitable. A few minutes past midnight, at 1:23 a.m., a massive explosion occurred at reactor number 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The sky lit up with flames. The explosion was so powerful that the plant's massive concrete roof was shattered and sent flying into the air. Radiation leakage spread instantly. The people of Pripyat watched in concern as a massive blue-green glow rose toward the city center. But no one knew that this moment marked the beginning of a disaster that would change their lives forever. After the explosion, plant workers and firefighters were quickly dispatched to the scene. None of them were aware of the lethal levels of radiation. Without proper protective gear, the emergency responders tried to extinguish the fire, but the radiation exposure poisoned them within seconds. Most died in unbearable agony within days. After the explosion, authorities ensured that life in Pripyat continued as if nothing had happened. The residents were given no information about the situation. Children played in the streets. People went about their daily routines. But the reality was far more terrifying. The city's inhabitants were living inside a deadly cloud of radiation. The next morning, on April 27th, people in Pripyat began to show symptoms of radiation sickness: severe headaches, nausea, skin burns. The radioactive exposure was becoming more deadly by the hour. Yet authorities delayed the decision to evacuate the city. Finally, on the morning of April 27th, the government ordered an evacuation. The only thing the residents were told was, "You will return in a few days. Take only your essential belongings." But in reality, most of these people would never return home again. The evacuation process took only 3 hours. More than 50,000 people were loaded onto buses and taken away from the city. Houses, cars, streets, everything was left as it was. Children's toys, dinner plates on tables, open windows. Pripyat instantly turned into an abandoned ghost town. Within days, radiation levels reached horrifying levels. Trees withered, animals either died or mutated. Pripyat and its surroundings were completely closed off to human life. Over time, nature began to reclaim the city. Windows shattered. Apartment walls were covered with moss. The only sounds left were the wind and the eerie echoes coming from deserted buildings. As years passed, Pripyat became shrouded in legends. Shadows appearing in windows at night, people disappearing in radioactive zones, eerie sounds. Some tourists claimed that the Ferris wheel in the amusement park moved on its own. In the abandoned hospital, the uniforms of the firefighters brought in after the explosion still emitted deadly radiation. Ghost hunters, paranormal researchers, and daring adventurers snuck into Pripyat, trying to document the chilling atmosphere. In old schools, last lesson notes remained on the blackboards, and abandoned toys in kindergartens painted a picture of a frozen past. The city remained trapped in time, like a haunting time capsule. Today, Chernobyl and Pripyat are partially open for controlled tourism. However, in some areas, radiation levels are still lethal. Pripyat stands as a haunting monument, where time has stopped and nature has taken over without human interference. The Chernobyl disaster remains one of the most tragic examples of human error and the dangers of technology. And Pripyat, as the ghost of a city that will never return, continues to exist in whispers carried by the wind.